Germany is hosting a meeting with African leaders to discuss the ongoing flow of migrants and refugees to Europe, economic stability, development and security. Chancellor Angela Merkel called the Berlin Summit as part of the G20 group of nations. Merkel has sketched out plans for a G20 compact with Africa, which she says moves away from past notions of development aid to look instead at opportunities to partner with African countries, many of which boast booming growth rates. Now, for more on the Germany-Africa Summit, reporter Petra Zlatevska joins us live via Skype from the German capital, Berlin. Petra, welcome. And we know that Chancellor Angela Merkel, on a trip to Ethiopia last year, in fact, promised to make Africa a priority for Germany's G20 presidency in 2017. She has obviously kept her promise. Tell us more about our key goals in convening the G20 Africa Summit.
Yes, well, Vincent, this was really Merkel's initiative to put Africa and the continent right at the top of the German presidency's agenda as part of their assuming responsibility pillar for what they want to achieve in this year. And the key goals are really to ensure that there's sustainable measures for private infrastructure, to tap into the renewable energy sector, ensure that the digital economy is going to be able to develop significantly, and also to make sure that there's a new mindset going forward, that it's not just enough to be able to give Africa money and Africa as being an aid recipient, but to make sure that Africa is seen as a legitimate investment destination and that development will take place there hand in hand with peace and security measures.
Now, the Chancellor also launched what she calls the compact with Africa. How will this change the relationship between Germany or Europe and Africa?
Well, yes, Vincent, this compact for Africa stems from the African nations themselves, their wish for the Agenda 2063 to make sure that there's this overriding sustainable approach to investment, job creation, and making part of that commitment is ensuring that Germany is on board. And there's 7 African nations who've signed up to this compact with Africa. So it's not the compact for Africa, but Africa is a key partner in its own future. And we see the IMF is also part of this, as well as the African Development Bank and the World Bank, as well as another key party to this compact.
Sounds fascinating. One of the issues that has been on the news for the last few years is the flow of migrants and refugees to Europe. What has been discussed? What is the plan?
Well, yes, one of the core flaws of the current model between the EU and the G20 in dealing with Africa is just throwing money at Africa. And now there's had to be a rethink, and this is what Merkel has emphasized, in order to make sure that these refugees and migrants aren't leaving the continent, that there's not this brain drain of young people, that the economy and development needs to be stimulated sustainably back at home, and to encourage young people to stay, and that their prospects for employment are high, and that they don't need to leave because they feel that they've got no future.
Mm-hmm. Now, very quickly, the issue of gender equality was also on the table. What has been discussed up to this point?
Well, this is something that Merkel herself is very committed to, and it's a personal project for her, as well as being part of the G20. So part of the gender equality pillar is to ensure that through stimulating digital economy and initiatives for women and young girls to be able to take part in the digital economy and the startup ecosystem, making sure that they are going to be able to contribute equally, and through these mechanisms try to stem that tide of discrimination and ensure that there's full chances that the human capital is really being developed.
Petra, thank you. Dankeschön. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night.
All right, that's Petra Zlatevska. She is a Berlin-based journalist.